I'm sure you guys know that expression, good things come in small packages. And that definitely applies to the subject of today's review, the Stereo 17 Little Nugget amplifier, and the company name is Amps and Sound, all one word. They're based in Southern California, and that's where they design and build all of their products. But I got to say, I've been admiring AMPSAND Sound's products, mostly amplifiers, for years, easily 10 years, but it just never came together. So then, at last year's Axpona show, they were demoing a set of 15-inch horn speakers, 15-inch woofers, horn speakers, and I was very, very impressed with the sound. And I got to talking with the owner of the company, Justin, about doing something, and he suggested this little amplifier, the Stereo 17 Little Nugget. And it finally arrived, and I've been listening to it actually for quite some time here, and I am very impressed with the sound. And I will, over the course of this review, compare it with a couple of different amplifiers, the Linear Tube Audio Ultra Linear, and also my reference solid-state amplifier, the Pass XA25. And I also paired the Little Nugget with 3 different sets of speakers. The ones behind me, the Zu DW6, also my main reference speaker, the Pure Audio Project Duet 15, and for a long shot, a very low sensitivity speaker, namely the Sound Artist, their version of the LS35A, which is extremely low sensitivity. Its spec is 83 dB, and it's an 11 ohm speaker. It is a small amplifier. It's less than 12 inches wide, but it weighs a hefty 39 pounds. 39 pounds. It's a steel chassis. It's got 3 transformers, a power transformer, and 2 output transformers. So it's a heavy little beast. Build quality is exceptional. Now my review sample is finished in orange and black, but that's a custom order thing. The normal finish is just black on black, but you can get it in a variety of colors. Oh, the warranty. Yeah, you know, the warranty. This is a tube amplifier, as I've noted. And yes, it comes with a lifetime warranty. That is exceptionally rare for tube or solid state, but AMPSAND Sound offers a lifetime warranty on their amplifiers. Not on the tubes per se, but on the amplifier itself. The tubes are EL84 push-pull tubes. There's the input tube is a 12AX7, and the phase splitter tube is a 12AU7. Now the bias of the tubes is not self-bias. This is not a self-biasing amp. This is a cathode bias amp, so you need to buy your EL84s in matched sets of quad sets of 4 tubes. That's the only downside to having a fixed bias amplifier. I'm going to give you a look at the underside of the amplifier, in other words, with the bottom cover removed. Oh, I almost forgot to mention the output transformers. The output transformers are custom units, proprietary, built to AMPSAND Sound's exacting specifications. And they're also, let's say, overbuilt. This is a 17 watt per channel amplifier, but these output transformers can handle double that, 35 watts each. So they put the money where it counts, into the transformers. As for the rear end, yes, there's a pair of RCA inputs and 4 ohm and 8 ohm speaker outputs. The binding posts themselves are very high quality. Hey, let's take a peek at the Stereo 17 Little Nuggets specifications, and I will note the price. It is $6,000. By the way, AMPSAND Sound is direct sale company in the US and worldwide. No dealers, no distributor markups, no, direct from the company to you. And where was I? So yes, it's shipped not in a cardboard box like most amplifiers are. No, this thing comes in a container made by a company called Seahorse. This thing is practically bulletproof. It is a very impressive piece of packaging. For whatever reason, I was only playing CDs over the course of this review. I I don't know why, but that's just the way it worked out. I mean, I did play vinyl. I just wasn't taking notes when I was playing records. And anyway, the DAC was not my usual DAC, not the Mola Mola DAC. Instead, I was using the LTA, the Linear Tube Audio Arrow, tube DAC, which is absolutely fantastic. And I use that one DAC for all of these listening tests. But the bulk of my listening time was on the Pure Audio Project Duet 15. And I just happened to be playing this Lyle Lovett CD. And he's just so funny and quirky and at ease, and he's an interesting guy, an interesting performer, interesting songwriter. And this particular recording is so clean. It's just right there. You just feel like Lyle and the band are right there, very relaxed kind of recording. And that's what was coming through the Pure Audio Project Duet 15 speakers. It didn't sound like a hi-fi reproducing the sound. When you go with the flow, it sounded far more natural than solid state gives you. I'll talk about that more shortly, but just for starters, that's where this amplifier checks in. It's a tube amplifier that sounds like a tube amplifier, not trying to sound like solid state. So for this review, I wasn't trying to just hand pick, really great sounding recordings that would, no, I just go with the flow. And I played the Nuggets box set, the CD box set, and I'm just digging the way this amplifier just moves. Its prat, its rhythm and pace, its timing, all of that was so right on the money. And some of these recordings are pretty nasty sounding and overly aggressive, and it's not like the Little Nugget was taming it and just making it all sound the same. No, this music had plenty of edge to it and bite and just jump factor happening big time, again, with the Pure Audio Project speakers. So yeah, and now at this point I wanted to compare it with the Past Labs XA25 solid state amplifier. Similar, it's not that much more powerful into it's 25 watts a channel. Well, I started with just the Nugget and really digging what it can do and how much impact it had in rhythm and pace and timing. The music's energy was so well conveyed by the Little Nugget. So then I got this. Now I'm going to switch over to the Past XA25. And what did I hear? What did I get? Well, the music was more, the mid-range jumped out more of that edge, more of that slam. It was brighter sounding, not in a bad way, but definitely brighter. But it seemed more uptight. It didn't have the same level of, let's say, va-va-voom energy. The Little Nugget just had more like drive to it, more body, more three-dimensional sound to it. And the XA25 pulled back from that to some degree. It had, let's say the edge definition was definitely better on the Past XA25, and it was softened a bit, yes, because it's a tube amplifier, and it does sound like a tube amplifier. So the tube solid state differences were laid bare. So as this review was progressing, I got in a set of these Sound Artist LS35A speakers. Now, these are the legendary BBC designs that were used by the BBC starting in, I think, like the middle 1970s. And they started to sell here in the US to consumers, and of course in the UK to consumers and worldwide. It was a big hit back in the time. I owned LS35As back then. But anyway, I get in this set just to mess around with. And this is a very low sensitivity speaker, 83 dB spec, 11 ohm impedance. On paper, not a good match to a 17 watt amplifier. But I hooked it up and I started to play it with the Little Nugget. And I was like, this sounds fantastic. It sounds incredible. And mind you, I'm not even a big fan of the LS35A sound just in general. But for some reason, all the dots were connecting extremely well with this combination. First, because it imaged big. It was huge, like wall to wall. I'm exaggerating a bit. But a big, wide, reasonably well-focused image. It made a reasonable amount of bass. These are very small speakers, but the bass did not seem anemic. It seemed reasonably dynamic for a very small speaker, and I was smiling. I was having a great time because I did not expect this to work at all. I thought the amp would be struggling to make these speakers light up, and it didn't. The amp was a beautiful match with the Sound Artist LS358, and I will be reviewing this speaker shortly, in a month or so. I will be actually reviewing the Sound Artist speaker. Terrific little speaker. Oh, and the price on that speaker is $595 a pair, including the shipping anywhere in the world. So then I wanted to get back to amplifier comparisons, and I went with this one, the LTA Ultralinear. This is an output transformerless tube design, 20 watts per channel. It's $6,800, so it's in the same price, almost the same power. How would these two compare? And for music, I was listening to this Bernard Herrmann CD of, well, Bernard Herrmann music. This is intense. This is orchestral music. These are recorded in the 50s and 60s, maybe into the 70s. I'm not sure. But anyway, rousing music. This is intense. This is big orchestra, lots of percussion, lots of stuff going on all at the same time. And the ultralinear amp, the LTA amp, was doing fine. The tonality was fantastic, the dynamics were good, and I was digging it. I was definitely digging the sound, but wondering what would the Little Nugget bring to the party? And the answer was, well, actually more than I expected. They're both tube amplifiers. But the Little Nugget had more chunk to its sound. It was more robust. It had more solidity. It sounded more like a tube amplifier. Maybe I'm saying it the wrong way. Yes, more like tubes. And it just had more density to the sound. And returning to the ultralinear amp, it sounded clearer and faster and better focused, but it lost so much of that beauty that I was getting from the Little Nugget. And the speakers, by the way, were the Pure Audio Project Duet 15 high sensitivity speakers. Now this is, as I said, very dynamic music, and I'm pushing the volume louder and louder. And I did feel that the ultralinear did win this contest in sounding a bit more together when it was being pushed by loud, highly dynamic music. And I felt that the Little Nugget was just holding back a little bit by comparison. And then I wanted to stay with the Little Nugget and swap out the speakers and move on to the Zu DW6, the Dirty Weekend 6, high sensitivity speaker. And I'm continuing a little bit more with the Bernard Herrmann CD, and I was knocked out by, again, I know the sound of these speakers so well, and they sounded so much more refined and tonally to my liking, to be more full-bodied than I'm used to hearing them. Now, I'm a big fan of Zu speakers, and I have been for maybe 20 years at this point, so I know this sounds so well, and I just felt that this combination of the Little Nugget and the DW6 was definitely doing things that made me very, very happy with their weight. And for whatever reason, these speakers, the Dirty Weekend 6, were more dynamically alive than the Pure Audio Project, which are no slouch, but the Little Nugget DW6 dynamics with this Bernard Herrmann disc, which if you're into this kind of music, orchestral, Technicolor music, you should definitely check out these recordings. Anyway, the combination of the two, Little Nugget DW6, was definitely kicking butt. And then to finish up, I rocked out with some Creedence, actually specifically Suzy Q. And I wanted to play this louder than I had played the Little Nugget up to this point, mid 90 dB range. And I was just taking it all in and saying, this is good. This is really good. I love my job. I say that a lot because I do. And damn, tubes and Zu speakers Nice. Very, very nice together. So I think we will move on to, so Steve, what do you really think of the AMPSAND Stereo 17 Little Nugget? Well, as I've hinted to a little bit here and there, this is a tube amplifier that sounds like a tube amplifier. If you crave ultimate res and edge definition and super tight bass and all that, no, this is not the amp for you. No, it's not going to work for you. But if you're looking for more musical sounds from your hi-fi, this might be the way in, and you have reasonably high sensitivity speakers. But as I pointed out a little while ago, even with ultra low sensitivity speakers, for you people out there who keep telling me that you never listen loud, if you don't listen past 84, 85 dB peaks in a small room, yeah, this 17-watt amplifier can drive low sensitivity speakers. And you'll actually hear the KEF LS50 metas and LS50s work very, very well with the Little Nugget. Anyway, so yes, color me impressed. And they will be more coming from AMPSAND to me here in Brooklyn. Well, I don't know about this year, but probably sometime next year. And now, yes, we're going to move on to the Audiophiliac viewer system of the day. This is Mark's system. He lives in Hershey, Pennsylvania. The speakers are Wharfdale Aura 2s. Turntable, Technics SL1500C with an Ortophon Blue moving magnet cartridge. The amp is a Yamaha AS1200. And there's another piece of Yamaha in here. That's the S1000 CD player, SACD player. Streamer is a Blue Sound Node X. And next is the star of the show here. This is the Schiit Jagersal Plus, the less is more version. And according to Mark, this has been a game changer for his digital listening, and he highly recommends it. And last but not least there on the rack is the tuner, which is a Sansui TU717 from 1978. Nice. Anyway, oh, the audio rack is a Vulcan, Pangea Vulcan, and the cables are all AudioQuest and Cord. Thank you, Mark. All right, we are back. My name is Steve Guttenberg. This is the Audiophiliac Show. If you dig it, I would truly appreciate it if you consider joining my Patreon. And if you do, I have an enticement for you people who have been on the fence. I'm now making a separate series of videos that are never shown here on the channel. They're short videos, but they're just for my patrons. So maybe that'll make you pull the trigger and become one of my proud patrons. Anyway, that's it for today. Thank you so much for watching, and I truly do hope to see you back here again very, very soon. Bye-bye.